On today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, Dune 2 has just passed the $500 million mark in just 17 days, passing what the original Dune movie made. Also, the director of that documentary about Michael Jackson leaving Neverland, well, he's read the script for the new Michael Jackson biopic, and he's upset. He's saying it's a complete whitewash of all the allegations made against Michael Jackson. Also, a Marvel executive is now confirming what a lot of us suspected, that under Bob Chapek, there was a mandate for Marvel to make as much as you can, as fast as you can, and we're going to talk about what they're doing now that's different. Rebel Moon 2 just dropped its first trailer, and it's a trailer, and Avengers 5, apparently, they're still going to keep the Kang character, and apparently we know a little bit more about the plot now, that it's going to be about the Avengers fighting an army of Kangs on Earth. But there are a few things that have changed. We're going to talk about that and a whole bunch more. The John Campea Show podcast starts right now. Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast. Coming from right here in our quaint little studio, brought to you in part by our friends at BetterHelp. I am, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news, TV and streaming, and all sorts of good stuff. Not just giving you our opinions, but also giving you some information and context so you guys can form your own well-informed opinions, whether they're the same or different than ours. Joining me in studio today, I got Ray Ora.
Hey, happy Monday.
Jonathan Voico's here.
Suck it to me.
Writer, producer, director, Robert Meyer Burnett is here.
Who are in the Avengers, John?
Well, you know, the Avengers guy, he's there. And most importantly, as we explore this mystery, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here and making today's show part of your day. And here's how the show's going to go. We're going to start off by talking about those topics I listed off. Then in the second part of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you guys have a thought, theory, opinion, question, or observation that you'd like us to discuss, go ahead and drop a super chat in the live chat. And as long as it's appropriate to be used on our show, we'll address it in the second part of the show. All right, guys. With that down, let's get things started with this, shall we? So the weekend boxes just came and went. Of course, last weekend, Dune 2 had a remarkable, what was it, 41% drop?
Yeah.
Which is absolutely incredible, hung in there. But it was outdone by Kung Fu Panda 4, which overperformed what a lot of people were expecting and made really good bank, the second most of any Kung Fu Panda movie for its opening weekend. And now, just a few days later, now after its third weekend in the box office, Dune Part 2, as of today, is passing the $500 million mark, passing what the first Dune movie did in its box office run in just 17 days. Now, as we take a look at the box office chart here for this weekend, Kung Fu Panda 4 did remarkably well, only taking a 48% drop from weekend to weekend. That movie's now made $176 million after just 9 days. Good on it. But of course, most importantly, Dune Part 2 dropped only 37% from last weekend to this weekend, pulling in $29 million on its third weekend, having it, as of today, just crawling over that $500 million mark. Now, want to be clear, I still don't think this movie gets to $1 billion. I think I said somewhere between the $600 and $800 million range. I still feel pretty good about that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I would love to see it get to $1 billion, but I don't think it's going to get close to that. Still, Rob, when you're looking at these numbers, the 40% drop in the second weekend, a 38.7% drop this weekend, it's crossed that $500 million mark as of today. Did you see this kind of success coming for Dune? And from here on out, how good do you think its legs can be? Because we got a giant lizard and a giant monkey coming in a couple of weeks. So how much more legs do you think this movie can have?
Well, I think, first of all, it's great for Dune. And one of the things that people I don't think quite understand is Kung Fu Panda is a 4-quadrant film. The thing that Dune doesn't have is the child audience, the family audience. You don't have parents taking their 6 and 8-year-olds to see Dune. I mean, some do, the cool ones, but most people don't. So, and Kung Fu Panda is probably, and I haven't looked at the numbers right in front of me, but I'm sure it's playing on more screens. What makes the impressive box office of Dune even more impressive is most people have been holding out to see it at IMAX when they can,
Right.
and going to Dolby Cinemas when they can, or 4DX, or whatever your premium theater preference of choice is, and it's been filling those venues. So it's been doing a lot of business there. You can look at how IMAX is very happy with these numbers. I mean, the thing is, what Dune has done is it's brought back these two movies together, actually, in tandem. I mean, I know it's not Barbenheimer, but if you look at them, they're almost as different as Barbie and Oppenheimer were in terms of their audience and who they appeal to. What it does say is that people are going back to movie theaters having a great time. You know, and if you look, even the Mark Wahlberg movie, the #3 movie about the dog.
King Arthur. Arthur
the King. I mean, I haven't seen that movie. I've seen the trailer. The trailers are great, based on a true story. I mean, Mark Wahlberg and a dog, you know, talking to the animals. It's that SNL thing made flesh. But I just think...
Say hi to your mother for me.
Say hi to your mother for me. But I do think that this bodes very, very well moving into the summer movie season. It's only March. Theaters, you know, they've had a rough patch. Fox has, I got to say, The First Omen coming out like April 1st or something.
Yeah, and you really like the trailer for it.
I like, and it's apparently it's gone back to the MPAA just to get an R rating multiple times. And Bob Murawski, who's Sam Raimi's editor, cut it. So there's a lot of reasons to, I think, love the First Omen. Hopefully that'll do some big numbers. You got a Blumhouse movie in theaters now, Imaginary, probably not made for a lot of money, doing well. You've got another Angel Studios movie in Cabrini in the theaters, you know, not doing a lot, but still making money. Kristen Stewart's in the theaters now, too, with her movie, and who doesn't want to see that? I haven't yet, but I want to.
Do you hear what Chris Carr said about it?
No.
Worse than Madam Web.
Come on now.
She said she liked Madam Web more. I know. I was excited about it, too. Was it Love Lives Bleeding? I thought it looked great.
I do, too.
But Chris Carr apparently didn't like it very much.
I think, John, Dune is a success any way you look at it. I see people on Twitter now going, well, it's not much of a success. And I'm like, Kung Fu Panda beat it. And I'm like, guys... It's a totally
Kung
different...
Fu Panda came out the week after it came out.
But it's also, it's not like they're two different movies going for two demographics of moviegoers. Yeah. And just because we look at box office, each movie is its own business. And just because we chart them at the box office, because it's an human, that's what humans do. Dune's business and Kung Fu Panda's business as individual business entities, they're not in competition. They just happen to be the same product. It's like, you know, what do you like better, Pepsi or Coke? They're competing, but Kung Fu Panda and Dune are not.
But I got to bring this up because it always bothers me. I've seen so many people doing this. Like when one movie's out and then another movie comes out and knows better. I say like, ha, that movie that you like lost. It didn't lose. It came out before this one. Like when you're new in the box office, you're supposed to be #1 at the box office. Let's see what happens when it's all said and done.
I mean, the hold, as you pointed out, the hold is extraordinary on Dune.
Oh, it's crazy good.
Because people, I think it has repeat value, and people have been waiting to get into IMAX theaters.
Yeah, I think speaking of the whole, I think this third week now, this drop is more impressive than the second week.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because that was just above 50. The fact that it's holding just a 30% drop, dude.
People are buying tickets in advance. They're going to see it again, and there's not the kind of screens people want to go back to. This movie's going to have legs.
To your point, Ann and I
know how to use them.
We're talking the other day about it was this weekend. We thought, let's go see, because Dune, Anna's seen it 4 times. She wants to see it a 5th, 6th, and a 7th, I think. But she goes, let's go to the biggest IMAX screen in our area, which I think is in Irvine. I think is in Irvine.
Oh, Spectrum?
Yeah, the Spectrum at the Irvine Spectrum Center. And we're like, great. But at anything other than like a 10:30 or 11 o'clock screening at night, we couldn't find anything where the only available seats weren't either singles or the front couple of rows, which nobody wants to see in a 75mm IMAX. So like it's...
Yeah, that tells me the fans came out the first weekend and the people who were into First Dune, and now you have this groundswell of like fear of missing out and their friends saying how good it is, and it, you know what I mean?
Well, it's truly an experience. I think anybody who sees it, whether you're a Dune lover or not, you're getting something you don't normally get at the movie theater, which is an overwhelming cinematic, like you always say, John, experiential event.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Dune has passed the box office total of Dune 1 in just 17 days, crossing the $500 million mark as of today. Good? Could do better? I don't know. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? The great Antoine Fuqua, who I think is a terrific director. I've had the pleasure of sitting down with him on a couple of occasions. He's awesome. Well, of course, he made some news last year when it got announced that he was going to be directing a Michael Jackson biopic. Now, the question of a Michael Jackson biopic has been brought up many times over the past decade and more about when are they going to make a Michael Jackson biopic. And I used to say back in the AMC movie talk days, I used to say, I don't know if they'll ever make one. Because, I mean, if you do, you're going to have instant controversy because you're going to have half the people who are going to be upset about your movie not being about the child allegations. And if you do bring up child allegations, you're going to get the other half of the audience that doesn't think that should be a part of it. And that it's all lies to besmirch Michael Jackson. Well, it didn't take long for the controversy to come up, and it's coming from an interesting source. The director of Finding Neverland, or Leaving Neverland, I should say. Finding Neverland is a different movie. That's totally wonderful, by the way. But the documentary Leaving Neverland, that was kind of a damning documentary about Michael Jackson and the allegations against him, has now come out and said he's read the script for the Antoine Fuqua movie and says it's all a sham. This comes to us from the folks at IndieWire who wrote the following. In a new interview with the Sunday Times, Leaving Neverland director Dan Reed claimed that he saw a draft of the Michael script written by three-time Oscar nominee John Logan. Reed called it, quote-unquote, a complete whitewash that ignores facts about the allegations against Jackson. It's an out-and-out attempt to completely rewrite the allegations and dismiss them out of hand and contains complete lies. Wow. Now, I'm not surprised to read this at all. I mean, listen, if they made the movie focusing on that stuff, you'd get a whole bunch of other people saying that this was unfair and blah, blah, blah. And we knew the moment they announced this movie that there was going to be this controversy coming. Now, how big does it get before the movie comes out? We'll have to wait and see. How do I feel about it? Well, here's the thing. I was not at anything that Michael Jackson did or did not do. I have no firsthand knowledge. So I have no idea. So let me suggest something that some people may not like, but I want to suggest it anyway. In 2005, Michael Jackson was actually brought up on charges. And a court and a jury found him not guilty. They acquitted him of those charges. There was a civil lawsuit brought against him that was dismissed. It was then brought back and dismissed again. And then last year, an appellate court said, no, the civil lawsuit can move forward. So I think there's an ongoing civil trial, but we have no idea how that's going to turn out one way or the other. Here's how I feel about this right now. Remember, I'm somebody who has no skin in this game. I mean, as much as anybody else in the world, I think Michael Jackson's music is incredible. But if he faced criminal charges and a jury in a court acquitted him of those charges, then I don't know that filmmakers are under any obligation, strictly or morally, to make those allegations a part of the story they want to tell. Do I personally think maybe they should include it because it was kind of a big thing? Yeah, I think maybe they should, but are they under any direct or even moral obligations if a court said, you're acquitted, we find you not guilty of these charges? Should they have to put that in? Look, I'm not going to pretend that I've got the answers to this because I clearly do not. And while I would, if Antoine had asked me, I would say, yeah, I think you should probably put something in about it. But again, I don't know that there's any mandate that they have to, considering he was found not guilty in a court of law. And while there may be civil litigation going on right now, the reality is there has been no results of that civil litigation. So here you go. Rob, so bottom line for me, do I think they should include a little bit of that? Yeah, I think it would be good for the movie and maybe good for everybody that did, but Can you hold it against him if they don't? I don't know, man. He went to trial and he was acquitted. So I don't know. What do you make of the words of the director of Leaving Neverland, and what do you think happens from here on out?
Well, first of all, Michael Jackson had a really long life, and I don't know if this biopic, what does it deal with? His entire life? Does it deal with the time he was a child and first started out with the Jackson 5 and then moved into his solo career when he worked with Quincy Jones and created Thriller, and then he was in Captain EO, and you could deal with 40 years of the guy's life before there are any allegations at all. So I have no idea how the movie's going to work out. I don't know what they're going for. I don't know. It could be like Rocket Man, more of a pastiche of feeling. I don't know. Or an across the universe kind of a thing that's an examination of I don't know what kind of a movie it is. So it's hard for me to say that, well, they might have just not included it, and that's the whitewashing. It's an interesting choice of words. But I would say that I just don't know. Now, I would say probably, depending on, it does say biopic, and if you're showing the man's life, he unfortunately, or he had to deal with this dogging him in his career for the latter half of as long as he lived on the planet.
What did he live to? Like 50, I think?
Something.
He died at 50, I think? Anyway, yeah.
And so, that's a big part of what he had to deal with in his life. But again, I don't know. It's hard to say. I am a huge fan of Anton Fuqua. Whether he's making Training Day, whether he's making the Equalizer movies, whether he's making Olympus Has Fallen, which was rad. Anton Fuqua can do it all. He's a great genre director. He's a great director of great dramatic material. He brought home the Oscar for Denzel Washington. Denzel Washington brought it home for himself, but he was the guy that directed Training Day, David Ayer's great script. So Anton Fuqua is a powerhouse filmmaker. I'll watch anything he makes because it's wild. If he does a Western, everything is wildly entertaining. The man can do it all. And I don't think a guy like Anton Fuqua is going to make a film unless he thinks he can do justice to it or that it does justice to its subject matter. So you know what? I trust in Fuqua until I'm given reason not to otherwise.
Now, what the director of Leaving Neverland is suggesting shouldn't be a surprise.
No.
One of the co-producers of the film is the Michael Jackson estate.
Yes, of course.
So, if anybody thought the Michael Jackson estate was going to allow anything to be in this movie that was unbecoming, whether it should or should not be in there, I think we'd all be a little bit crazy if we thought they were going to do that.
Well, it's also, even Bohemian Rhapsody didn't delve into a lot of Freddie Mercury's more, call them colorful parts of his life. It touched on everything. But I really like Bohemian Rhapsody. It was a celebration of art. And I think, if nothing else, Michael Jackson was one of the greatest pop vocalists of all time. And he brought so much joy to so many people for so long that you can't just discount that. Like you said, in courts of law, he was never convicted of a crime. And in our way of justice,
even though he was tried, he was tried and acquitted.
And here's the thing: a lot of people in our society, even if people go to court, they go through our legal system, and they come out on the other end of it acquitted. You have to abide by that. You can't continue. Our justice system doesn't work that way. When you go through the justice system, you have to abide by what our justice system does.
Again, I still think it was such a prominent thing that maybe they should mention it, but I will say this. Some people might say...
By the way, we don't even know if it doesn't. He read the script. Maybe it didn't mention it enough.
Maybe. He says it was completely not there at all, but we'll see when we see the movie. Now, some people might say to me, well, other musical biopics have shown the dark side of celebrities. True, but when you look at biopics of, like, say, Elton John in Rocket Man, or Freddie Mercury in Bohemian Rhapsody, or Walk the Line, Johnny Cash, all the movies showed some dark side, but it also portrayed them as heroically fighting through it.
Right.
Like, all of it showed their weaknesses, that they fell into a lot of bad stuff of their own making, things they did to themselves. But all three of those movies also show them heroically working through that and battling through that to come out on the other side. You can't do that in the Michael Jackson situation, right? There's no doing that. So you can't bring these allegations into the movie and then set it up as a traditional musical biopic showing the artists heroically battling through their demons. That's not something they can do in this. So the only other option to them is ignore it entirely, or make the movie about how he was falsely accused, which is just going to piss off a lot of other people if they do. So,
and there was a lot of other stuff. I mean, he had a tough childhood with his father, being a tough taskmaster. Obviously, his own self-image with the plastic surgery and everything was for him part of a dark side that was intrinsic to himself. And I'm sure the movie delves into all of that.
Anyway, guys, question is for you. Now, none of you were there either. Neither was I. I'm not claiming to have been the arbiter of what's right and what's wrong, what did or did not Michael Jackson do, what's he falsely do. I have no idea. But how do you feel about this? The director leaving Neverland coming out making some comments. Do you think there's going to be even more controversy before this movie comes out? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we?
Your mic?
My mic is on.
Oh.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Everyone, yeah, and you're bumping. I don't know what people.
Oh,
are
it
saying.
may have gone out for a second. Anyway, maybe the connection's loose. Anyway, guys, with that all down, let's move on to this, shall we? Zack Snyder's well, it's not really his follow-up to the DCEU, because he did Army of the Dead, which I had fun with. I had fun with Army of the Dead. I didn't think it was awesome, but I had a good time watching that movie. It's no Man of Steel, but it was pretty good. Well, then he signed this big deal with Netflix, Zack Snyder did, to do Rebel Moon. Mm-hmm. And with high anticipation, the first Rebel Moon came out. What was it called? Rebel Moon? Child of Michael Jackson? I don't know. Is it Child of the Stars or
Child of Fire?
Child of Fire? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Movie sucked. I mean, listen, it's not no ambiguity here. It straight up sucked. And it wasn't as bad maybe as Madam Web, but that's not exactly the bar you're aspiring to, is it? So here's the thing. I am a big Zack Snyder fan. Up until Rebel Moon, I have liked or loved every single one of his films, with the only exception being Sucker Punch. Right? Sucker Punch is the only film on Zack Snyder's filmography that I didn't like. His, of course, pivotal, awesome, most underrated comic book movie of all time. Mm-hmm. Man of Steel, I will always be in his debt for making that. I love that movie passionately. Obviously, 300 and others, right?
Yep.
But Rebel Moon was terrible. It was badly written. Some of the action, a lot of people dogged on the action of the movie. I will actually say that, to me, was one of the redeeming factors of the movie. I thought the action wasn't that bad. I thought the action was okay. Anyway. But
you would
overall,
hope that would be good, though.
Yeah. Terrible movie. I think it had like a 21% on Rotten Tomatoes. And even the audience score, which always slants way positive with TV, stuff on TV, because they don't have to verify it. Even there, it had a rotten score. Higher than the critic score, but it was still considered rotten.
21%, 58%.
58%. Right?
Yep.
Well, now we got Scar of the Face. No, what's it called? Rebel Moon?
The Scar
Giver. The Scar Giver. I was going to say the Child of Scar. The Scar Giver.
Yeah.
It's a crossover with Lion King.
Yes.
The Scar Giver trailer has released. And it's a trailer. It's definitely a trailer. Look, I'll say this. I've read some people online already saying that the action in it looks terrible. I saw one person saying it's like when the hand-to-hand combat is like watching dance moves. They're going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, kick. And you know what? I don't disagree with that, but I felt like the action in the trailer for the first movie kind of looked the same. But then when you saw it in the movie, it actually worked a lot better for me in the movie. So I'm not worried about how the action looked in the trailer, because I think the action looked great in the first trailer for the first movie, but I ended up liking the action in the movie overall. So I'm not worried about that. Horrible music choice for the trailer. This trailer should have this epic orchestral score to it, like something grand. Instead, it's playing this awful music that's going with it. That doesn't look too good. Not a lot of dialogue other than hearing Anthony Hopkins saying, "You can't win." Boy, we've never heard that line before. And I have no option but to fight. Okay. All right. I do want to see the robot fight.
Yeah, but they should have saved that I must fight thing. Like that would have been really
Yeah.
cool if they didn't show that much. And
Yeah, maybe they should have saved that.
What was the droid's name in Rogue One?
K2SO.
Dude, that's their
K2SO.
K2SO. All I could think was K2SO. in the trailer.
K2SO is one of my favorite movie robots of all
Yeah,
time.
man.
I cannot wait for him to come back in Andor season 2.
The problem is they're copying it. Though.
Anyway, the trailer, not good, not terrible. The action, whatever, we've discussed that. The music, bad choice of the music. Not a lot of dialogue. If you had a nickel for every time they said "Scar Giver," you'd probably have enough for a McDonald's lunch. Scar Giver, Scar Giver, Scar Giver, Scar Giver.
I hear you, the Scar Giver.
Star Giver.
But you know what? Scar Giver. I don't think it was a terrible trailer.
Muttley.
I am not looking forward to this movie though. Like the first one was awful, so I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully it'll be a step up and improvement over the last one. Rob, it's been a while since we talked about
It's been a while.
Child of the Stars.
good reason.
What's it called again?
Child
Child of Fire.
Child
It's been a
of
while
Fire,
since we talked about the first Rebel Moon. Again, what were your thoughts on that one? And then does this trailer do anything to move the needle for you for this new one? Coming out in just a couple of weeks, mid-April.
April 19th.
I found the first Rebel Moon nigh unwatchable. I did not enjoy it at all. But I will say this, John, watching the trailer here with Ray, listening to that music, I dare say I thought it was metal. I thought it was metal, dude. Like, I was
definitely
like,
had angry
kind of
boat
like
in
when
it.
I saw, it was like that angry, like 70s, man. It's Molly Hatchet, Death Dealer album cover, yeah. I mean, so from that perspective, because Zach, no one does metal better than Zack Snyder. What Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice is metal. Zack Snyder's Justice League is metal, and I like it when he goes full metal, just not when he goes full metal and stupid. And that's my problem.
My God, that would be a great name for a mockumentary.
Full Metal and
Stupid.
Stupid.
Full metal and stupid. Yeah, you can't. I don't want that. I want full metal and awesome, because full metal is awesome. I'm not necessarily talking. You don't have to do Enter Sandman, and you don't have to do like Quiet Riot either.
Right.
I mean, I want something
Would be
that
opposed to Quiet
is,
Riot.
give me something in between. But so look,
So
I just look at this and I'm like, how many things from other movies do I have to see put in this trailer? And why, when a robot decides to go all out, why do their lights always turn red? Like I'm
That's
tired,
in the rule books. I
I'm
think
tired of
Asimov
this
put that in a rule book.
Shortcut. It's
That's
like
how you know they've had enough.
red light, green light. I mean, give me turn purple.
Dude, that's
or
how you
turn
know.
auburn or
Yeah,
turn
but
something.
they don't have eyebrows like we do to show anger. They got to do something.
That's how you know they've had enough.
I mean, at least if you're gonna go metal, at least give me Tina Guo giving you a metal theme song. I mean, yes.
You know what? I'm going to
Yes.
recut this trailer to Twisted Scissors. We're not going to take it.
I mean,
It'd probably
you might
be
as
better.
well. Because here's the thing, John. In whatever galaxy Rebel Moon takes place in, they do not have the same kind of heavy metal music that we have here on Earth. And so when you see it in a trailer, you've got to give something that's more universal, like symphonic music, like you said. I mean, I'm like, this is too earthbound. Give me something weird and otherworldly that I wouldn't hear on the radio if I was listening to radio anymore. I want to see. But I have to tell you this. To me, I saw this trailer, and I was like, all right, I'll watch. I wasn't going to watch. But this trailer made me, I'll watch it.
Okay, so you're like me. It's not bad.
No,
Right?
actually, the way it was cut, the imagery in it, like I said, it was metal. Each individual image and the way they juxtapose, I'm like, okay, you've got infantry fighting with laser guns on the ground. You've got a Star Destroyer, the triangular Star Destroyer is that black, wasn't that Thrawn's? Whose Star Destroyer was that in the books?
The Superstar
The
Destroyer?
Super Star Destroyer, but with the front Cobra head thing. I forget. They've stole that, and when it's falling out of the sky, they're doing the same falling out of the sky they did in Return of the Jedi with the Star Destroyer coming down.
Yeah.
That was the comic version where Luke goes to the dark side.
Yeah. Like was it from Dark Empire?
Dark
Was that-
Empire.
yeah, which you can get. You can get Mold King Lego set of that. I don't know. Whatever.
That's what you put on the poster.
I don't know.
Rebel
whatever.
Moon 2, The Scar Giver. I don't know. Whatever. Robert Meyer Burnett on the
thing
John
is,
Campea Show.
I will watch it. It made me want to tune in.
okay.
All right. High praise. Guys, question is for you. Are you as excited for Rebel Moon Part 2 as Robert Meyer Burnett is? Maybe, listen, we've seen, maybe this could be the next Rush Hour. I hated the first one. Absolutely loved the second one.
Yeah.
So maybe that's going to be this. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Marvel is in a struggling phase right now, right? Again, you may love Marvel, you may hate Marvel. I think we can all agree that, lately, the last couple of years have not been their best years. Many people, including returning CEO Bob Iger, think a part of that is they've simply tried to create too much content. That Marvel has tried to get out there and just make way too much. It's diluted their talent pool, and they're putting out substandard product compared to the standards they had in years past. Some of us, including me, believe a part of that was a part of Bob Chapek, who became CEO of Disney, and a mandate when he took away the authority and power of Kevin Feige and other studio heads and gave that power to a banker who was loyal to him for years to greenlight, authorize, and command content and release platforms for that content. Well, now one Marvel executive, the head of streaming for Marvel, was just doing an interview about Ironheart, talking about the delays of Ironheart and why we haven't seen anything about it. And yes, it's still coming, but why it's been delayed. Brad Winderbaum is his name. He just pretty much in an interview confirmed that's exactly what happened. This comes to us from the folks over at comicbook.com who quoted the following. Brad Winderbaum, the head of streaming for Marvel, said this. I mean, frankly, in all honesty, there was a mandate to kind of create as much as we could for Disney Plus as quickly as we could, Winderbaum said in the interview. And then there was a shift. And all of a sudden, we have to start spreading our release dates out. So that really accounts for a lot of the delays. Now, we're using that time. We're not sitting idle. So it's like it stays in the oven. You can bake certain things a little more. It's actually, I think, ultimately, it's only going to make things better. But most of it is just, frankly, shrapnel from the business. I mean, frankly, in all honesty, there was a mandate to create as much as we could for Disney Plus as fast as we could. That was the mantra that happened around there. And now an actual Marvel executive is confirming that was the case. When Bob Iger created Disney Plus, the idea for it was, and he talked about this in his press releases, was that it would become a fantastic addition to the Disney landscape. That became the ultimate archive for all the fantastic, they would say, Disney-owned properties, Pixar, Star Wars, Marvel, Disney Animation, Disney Pictures, National Geographic, and all that kind of stuff. Become a great archive for that and a home for some great originals as well. As the streaming boom took over, Bob Chapek had a bit of a different idea. That Disney Plus was not going to become a great piece of the Disney puzzle, but rather become the cornerstone of the Disney puzzle. And the way to make that happen, Bob Chapek and his underlings believed, was to strip the power of people like Kevin Feige and roll out just as much crap as he could. Now, that's not to say there wasn't some great stuff they've created in the last couple of years. There has been a couple of great things. Absolutely there has. But when you start working with directors that you wouldn't have worked with otherwise because you got quotas to fill, when you start working with writers that otherwise you wouldn't have used them to write something, but we need to because we got to put 4 shows out this year, when you start stretching thin your workforce and doing things that maybe otherwise you wouldn't have done, when you start stretching the fabric, eventually you're going to see tears. And we've seen the MCU over the last number of years get thinner and thinner and thinner. Some brilliant spots. WandaVision, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Shang-Chi, absolutely. But a lot of tears as well. A lot of holes, if you will. And now we even have Marvel executives saying, yeah, we were kind of told, who cares, just crank it out as fast as you could. Which is one of the big reasons, one of the things Bob Chapek did, or Bob Iger, I should say, did when he came back is, slow the F down. Let's get back to what made us super successful. Let's focus on quality over quantity. Let's give the creative people like Kevin Feige their authority and their power back, and let's go. Now, look, we're not going to see the results of this for a little while longer yet, right? Everything that's still coming out right now was all stuff that was being produced or finished production under the Bob Chapek era, but it's coming, and hopefully it'll be good, because if it's not good, well, then they've run out of excuses. Anyway, Rob, when you hear what Brad Winterbaum is saying there, does this kind of, is it for you kind of like a, yeah, that checks out? Are you surprised to hear what he's saying? Do you think the shift in philosophy is going to change anything? What do you think about this?
Well, John, it's like what we've said on the show for years now. Making great films, great entertainment, great storytelling, it's not like just a product like a canned good that you can manufacture more of. You're talking about many moving parts, and it's really, really, really hard, not just to make great movies and great television, to make them really, really great. And what, Bob Chapek wanted to do was take a shortcut. Like everything else that kills so much in the entertainment business, the people that are in charge think that you can just, make more, make twice as many things. I mean, you look at the Marvel Cinematic Universe, phases 1, 2, and 3, the first 23 movies that make up the Infinity Saga are the most successful franchise in the history of movies, in the history of humankind, in terms of money-making and satisfying audiences. They have never been surpassed. I dare say they probably never will be surpassed. And then sit there and then just decide or think or say that, it's cookie cutter. You guys can crank more of it out. People actually believe this. This is corporate thinking. It is what's killing the entire, I dare say even capitalism. This kind of thinking is stupid and short-sighted. We have to make sure that the next fiscal quarter we make more money. Well, how about have other franchises you can rely on? So you don't just have two. Star Wars and Marvel, this kind of thinking diminished the value of your two most valuable franchises by hundreds of millions of dollars. And why has there been no Star Wars movie in 5 years? Why do we get Book of Boba Fett the way it was? It's incredible that this kind of thinking takes these two franchises that should be arguably a license to print money, and to see them diminish the way they are, there's a lot to answer for. And I understand everybody sits back and go, well, it's the shrapnel of the business. No, this is the shrapnel when the business isn't being done correctly. And people know how to do it. You had the team in place to keep Marvel going, but demanding that they literally do twice as much, 3 times as much in a year? In what universe has that ever worked ever in the history of mankind? Never. Except maybe during the war effort in World War II. America was able to build up a war machine.
Yeah, but that's about producing
that's
units, not...
Yeah. But I would say a good example of this is, take a buddy of mine, James. Some of you guys online might know him as the box office artist. Right? You should, if you haven't, you should go subscribe to his YouTube channel. He's an incredible artist. Disney and Warner Brothers have all commissioned him to do stuff. He's an incredible artist. But if I described to him a portrait I wanted by tomorrow, he could probably make something pretty decent. I mean, he's done timed challenges before. He can make something awesome. In one day, he can make something awesome. Okay. Keep that in mind. I saw somebody in the live chat put in, it's not a matter of quantity over quality. It's just that they didn't execute. Well, here's what I would suggest. If I went to my friend James, box office artist, and told him, now I want 7 portraits by tomorrow. It's an issue of quantity over quality. He simply will not be able to make each of those 7 things as good as he could make one thing in one day. Then you could say, well, then James should hire assistants to come in. Okay. So he hires his first choice for an assistant. It won't be quite as good as James. Well, now we got to do 3 in one day. So he hires another assistant. The assistant he didn't hire for the first assistant job. So his won't be as good as the first assistant's. Well, now they got to make 4. So now he's got to get the guy who placed in 3rd place for his first assistant job, and he's going to make the next one. And that's exactly what has happened with Marvel. They've started trying to create too much stuff and working with lesser and lesser and lesser talented people to get that stuff done. And I still remember talking with Kevin Feige. I was sitting down with Kevin Feige at his offices in Marvel, And they only had 3 projects coming out that year. And he was frazzled. And I could see it in him. And then I asked him, he goes, yeah, I mean, we're trying to get this, we're trying to do this. And he was being pulled in a million different directions with 3 projects in an entire year. Multiply that by 2. You can't do it and not expect the quality level to stay the same. And here's the thing. I get greed. Greed's fine.
Greed
is good. Greed works. Right? According to the great Michael Douglas, Gordon Gekko. But you've got to understand that we will continue to make great amounts of monies as long as we keep the quality high. We will lose out on those monies when we start lessening the quality. If we keep the quality up, we can keep this train rolling forever. But when the quality drops, and so this short-sighted rush to put out 2 or 3 extra things a year, with the price tag being the overall quality level your stuff is going to suffer, you're going to end up with a fan base being in a place that we are right now, which is, I don't know whether or not to be excited for the next Marvel thing. I'm definitely excited for Deadpool, but I don't know whether we should be excited for anything else because they're hit and miss right now. And so greed should have dictated, let's stick to the principles that crank out quality content because that's what makes us the most money.
You'd think.
I
mean, that's a very interesting and obvious precept or whatever to follow. And you'd think that that's been proven over and over and over again. Not only that, but, when Disney started their streaming service, which I thought was a good idea, they really relied on 2 franchises alone to make it valuable. And the reason that they didn't get this giant, it started out well, and the reason that they've had people churn and move away is that you can't build a streaming service on 2 different franchises and have that be it. Maybe the Olympians is something. Our friend Percy helped him out. That was good. But you've got to keep making sure that other creatives come in and make good things. Disney should have its Breaking Bad or it's Game of Thrones. Not that they should have those kinds of shows, but they should have other creators that have nothing to do with these things, making new and brand new things that people could fall in love with.
Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think of this Marvel executive saying, we were under a mandate for a bunch of years to just create as much as we could as fast as we could? Does it make you actually more hopeful now that they're slowing things down? Does it not resonate? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? The word Kang is one we've used a lot in the last year, often for not the right reasons. Of course, incredible actor Jonathan Majors was found guilty on a couple of the lesser charges that he faced, and he lost a lot of his projects, including the gig as playing Kang. Now, I'm sure eventually, because they were lesser charges, I'm sure I'm sure that Jonathan Majors will make a return at some point. Just won't be as Kang. Now, this raised a question. Is Marvel going to move away from Kang the character entirely? Because let's face it, the Kang character, despite the fact that it clicked really well in the Loki series, it has not clicked with audiences as the next big bad. The next, mad titan. It just hasn't clicked. The guy that Ant-Man punched in the face. Yeah, and ultimately got overrun by a bunch of ants. Okay.
They're big ants.
That Sylvie killed. And we've seen him get killed many times, and I don't know how we're supposed to think this is the next Thanos. They have not executed well with this. But apparently, we've now learned a couple of things. First of all, that reported title change of Avengers, the Kang Dynasty, there were reports going around that they took that out of the title. Now it's official. In a recent Investor Day call, Disney referred to the upcoming Avengers 5 simply as Avengers 5, and the one after that as Avengers Secret Wars. So they're clearly taking the Kang title out. However, according to reports, they're not taking Kang out, and Kang will still be a very central figure with or without Jonathan Majors in Part 5. This comes to us from comicbookmovie.com, who wrote this. Avengers the Kang Dynasty had the majority of the multiverse saga's leads, minus Thor for some reason, battling Kang's variants on Earth. Despite the villain's presence, the story was supposedly largely grounded and light on full-blown multiverse elements. Loki and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness scribe Michael Waldron is now penning both Avengers 5 and 6, and his vision is thought to be similar, but puts a greater emphasis on the multiverse, giving alternate reality heroes a much larger role in Avengers Secret Wars. So, according to what we're getting, the Jeff Loveness draft, who's been fired and removed from the project, but his Avengers 5 was going to be very light on multiverse stuff and have the Avengers minus Thor, for some reason, battling on Earth against that football stadium of Kangs that we saw at the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Now, Michael Waldron comes in and takes over, and apparently it's still going to be very similar to that, except they're going to give higher profile places to alternate reality heroes. John Krasinski's Reed Richards coming in. Wesley Snipes' Blade coming in, fighting off, fitness era 70s Kang. Taking on some of the Kangs. Whatever, but it sounds like the basic storyline is still going to be Earth-focused, legions of Kangs attacking the planet, and the Avengers stand against them. But now this time, instead of our heroes that we've already got, not very much multiverse stuff, they're going to crack open the multiverse again and bring in like different variants of heroes to join the battle and the fight. Rob, what do you think about them keeping Kang? The whole premise of Kang is still going to be the central figure, even though it's not going to be the name of the movie. And what do you think about these supposed storylines that we've got going on, the central conflict going on? What do you make of this?
I'm just not scared of Kang. The thing about that made Thanos terrifying is that Thanos had a philosophy, and his desires really had nothing to do with Earth. He was talking about the universe and how in his own twisted mind, and he had already been going to planets and killing half their populations without the Infinity Stones to save their resources. I'm going to save you by eliminating half of you. Kind of like what Kodos the Executioner did when Kirk was a young man before he went into Starfleet. To save a colony, he had to kill half the people because there was a famine. This is not a great plan in the long run, but it made him scary because he had the power to do it. So Thanos was an interesting villain. What does Kang want? What is his overarching philosophy? What does he want to do? I don't care, because whenever I've seen him do anything, he gets punched in the face by Ant-Man. Or he's sitting, or he gets defeated at the end of all time by somebody else. I mean, what is Kang going to do? Dance for everybody? Put on like a dance crew? Like
it worked for Star-Lord.
I guess so. But Star-Lord was victorious. But Star-Lord could outdance Kang. I mean, I look at this and I'm thinking, who are even the Avengers? Who's going to fight him? Moon Knight won't even be able to find his way to where the battle is. He won't even remember. And who's gonna, then Yelena went off on the Thunderbolts, so you've got Red, what's his name?
Even know.
The Red
Guardian.
Guardian. What are they going to do against Kang? I don't know. Are they even going to bother to show up? Who is the Avengers? Who's on the lunchbox, John?
Well, Rob, I know Kang's not that scary, but did you not see the post-credit scene in Ant-Man and Wasp: Quantumania? There's a lot of them.
There is a lot of them, but I mean, all you have to do is, have Taylor Swift show up and they'll all go to SoFi Stadium. You get them in one place and drop a nuke.
You just gave them an idea.
There you go. I mean, a bunch of guys, those people in that stadium at the end cheering did not look very fearsome to me.
No, they did not. They looked excited.
They looked excited.
Like they were at a Taylor Swift concert.
They looked pretty, because they probably were. What we didn't see as soon as the credits were over and the last, was Taylor Swift actually came out. It was a sing-along. They were all wearing their friendship bracelets. I mean, I'm not scared of Kang. I don't know what he wants to do other than just, I'm going to be bad now.
Yeah, I will say this. The one thing that I'm not excited about is leaning more into multiverse. Because then it's just a YouTube video, in my opinion. It's like, oh, we're going to get all these different variants that we've seen in What If, and we've seen that. They're all going to come in there. But I mean,
But you see, the thing is, when you're fighting against a villain, the fun part is knowing what the villain wants. A great hero is only as good as the villain they're up against.
Yeah.
And Thanos was a great villain. You know, when you find out that Hans Gruber at the end of Die Hard is only a thief, that's all he wants, bearer bonds. He's going to kill 30 people for bearer bonds.
No,
but
he's an exceptional thief.
an exceptional thief.
An exceptional thief.
I mean, I love when Bonnie Bedelia is like, this is all about, stealing. But because of the way he did it with panache and style, I mean, you're willing to go with him. But it's like even great Bond villains. It's like, I'm going to kill everybody on Earth and create my master race for my people that I have under the sea, or Hugo Drax. Here, they're all on my space station. Bond has to fly up to that space station and eliminate. He's shooting orchids down onto the Earth to kill everybody. Orchids, John. Poisonous orchids. And that's cool. Okay, maybe it isn't. Moonraker?
Yeah, no, Moonraker is not quite my favorite.
But I mean, look, to your point,
Moonraker.
though, about one of the things they laid out
Moon Knight.
was they made Thanos fearsome. They made Thanos a figure that people in the universe dreaded and we as the audience dreaded. And then they gave him a wild, multi-layered motivation of him seeing himself as the hero trying to save the galaxy.
Yes.
In the MCU, in the movies, in the Disney Plus shows, what is Kang trying to accomplish? Other than total power? Well, isn't that the same mustache twirling thing that we've gotten from every cinematic
What's his
villain ever?
philosophy?
Yeah. And they have not done a good job, and this is on them. They have not done a good job of building this character up. They've had 2 seasons of Loki, an Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania movie, to give us a sense of what is this dude about. And other than, I'm the bad guy, that's all they've done.
Well, it'd be more interesting if Kang, because he's seen all of time, he's seen all of history, and if he had an idea that I've watched humanity make the same mistake over and over and over again throughout the millennia, I'm going to stop that from happening, and I'm going to build a utopian civilization, but I'm going to have to break a few heads along the way. So he had some noble goal, but he's going to do something
now
monstrous.
you're describing the High Evolutionary, right?
Well, okay,
that was kind of what they did with Guardians of the
go.
Galaxy, right? So, and that worked.
But this is more of a, on a society, like a whole societal level. Maybe, I don't know. It's just, I just can't get, I hate to say that I was excited about Kang in the comics, and the Kang Dynasty run, that storyline is really good.
Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this supposed plot line that it's going to be the army of Kangs invading Earth and the Avengers have to stand against them? Not just our Earth's mightiest heroes, but 7,000 other Earth's mightiest heroes as well. Which maybe makes sense. I mean, there was a lot of Kangs. You're going to need more than 7 heroes, I suppose. Whatever you guys think about this, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we're going to move on now to the most important part of our show, which is hearing from you. What are your guys' thoughts, theories, opinions, questions, and observations? Go ahead and fire those in. But before we get to those, we're going to take a quick second and thank the sponsor of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends doing great work over at BetterHelp. Guys, we want to thank a sponsor of today's video, BetterHelp. Guys, it's a brand new year, and a lot of people are making New Year's resolutions, things they want to change about themselves. But I've always believed that it's also equally as important to identify the things we're doing well and building on those. And therapy helps you find your strengths so you can ditch the extreme resolutions and make changes that really stick. I've always believed that nothing impacts our daily performance in our jobs, our hobbies, our relationships like our mental health. And I've also said for a long time that it's about time that we stop just putting emphasis on improving our physical health by getting out to the gym, but also by putting emphasis on improving our mental health as well. So if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. All you gotta do is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. So guys, celebrate the progress you've already made. Visit betterhelp.com/Campea today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at BetterHelp for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, with that down, let's get to your questions here, shall we? Jonathan, what we got up first?
We got Robert says, before when I said I would bet $10 Batman Beyond would make $500 million, I meant as an animated movie. Warner Brothers can do something special with the cyberpunk.
No way.
I don't know, because what did
No way. The first Spider-Man Across the Spider into the
That's
Spider-Verse.
what I'm talking about.
It
Yeah,
made 300 and something million.
Yeah.
No way that it makes 500 million. Now, that's not to say a second or third Batman Beyond animated
Once you
film
build it.
couldn't build up to that.
Right.
For sure. Yeah. But I mean, it
Out of the gate?
out of the gate 500 million for a character that 95% of the average movie going public has never heard of. Nah, no chance that movie makes 500 million. All right, what's next?
Wesley Cunningham says, any movies you desperately wish would have a sequel, but pretty much certain they won't? For me, it's Shin Godzilla and Interstellar, those endings. That's probably why they won't have a sequel, the endings.
I see. My first thought is to say, well, there's Megaforce, which is really more primed for a remake than a sequel, because now Ace is going to be in his 70s, so I don't know that you can do a Megaforce sequel today. But if anything, if anything good came out of watching Ricky Stenicki, it was the reminder of how great William H. Macy is and his pivotal greatest character of all time, the Shoveler, in Mystery Men. Mystery Men is the one I want. That movie was a movie way before its time. They should definitely do a sequel to it. Obviously, you can't have Paul Rubens come back, which is unfortunate. But Gene Garofalo's still there. Ben Stiller's still there. Hank Azaria's still there. William H. Macy is still there. Do it, but it'll never happen. Rob, you got a sequel you really want that you know will never
John
happen?
Carter.
Yeah.
John Carter of Mars. Bring on all the Barsoom novels.
That was a great movie.
It should have been called John Carter, Warlord of Mars. How they didn't do that, I'll never know.
It should have just been called John Carter of Mars. That
Yeah.
would have been fine too, but they just made it John Carter, which sounds like it's a movie about a Boston lawyer.
I mean, you know my theory on it. Potentially killed by Bob Iger because he wanted Star Wars.
I don't buy that at all. Not in the least. Anyway, what's next?
This one's for you, Ray. Enrique says, hey, y'all, last week I bought the RC Godzilla from Jada Toys and has a simulated heat ray and light up spikes and it roars. Have you guys heard of it? And is it something you would buy?
Is that the one you were showing me, Ray?
Of course
We were talking about that just this morning before the show started.
Yeah.
I want to know if he thinks it's cool, if it was worth the money. But yeah, good on
I mean,
you.
he talked
How
about
much
it,
is
so-
it?
It's $60.
Oh, that's okay. I thought it was gonna be like a
Yeah, you
$500
put water in
thing.
it, it breathes,
Yeah,
smokes,
you know?
The-
steam.
for
I'll make
60
my
bucks.
Yeah, man.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
If it made that sound, that'd be awesome. All right, what's next?
Let me bring this down a little bit. I wouldn't listen to anything the Neverland director says. He made a doc based on no real evidence and stories from people who had testified in court. That I don't know if it's no real evidence, but that's
It's the eye of the beholder.
yeah.
Right? There are people who've seen that documentary and became very convinced that Michael Jackson was guilty of the allegations against him. There were people who watched that documentary and said, this is so frivolous, it's laughable, and didn't buy anything that the doc. So, I mean, again, I'm not taking any position on it because I'm not there. I had no firsthand knowledge. I think Michael Jackson, like everybody else on the planet, was one of the greatest musical artists of all time. Whether he did those horrible things, I don't know. But I know he went to trial and they acquitted him. So that's all I got left to deal with right now. Anyway, all right, what's next?
We got Michael Brocky who says, rebooting the MCU makes no sense to me. Bring back Iron Man and he'll have the same crappy movies as everyone else recently. Reboot the writers instead.
It's not reboot the writers. It's just make less, focus more,
Yeah, I think that's what
work on your top tier. Like, just work with your, like, look, they made Shang-Chi. It's awesome. They made WandaVision. It's awesome. They made Ms. Marvel. It's awesome. They made Guardians 3. It's awesome. Work with your top-of-line writers. Work with your top-of-line prospects. I mean, when you get stretched thin, now you start working with directors and writers that otherwise you wouldn't have worked with because you got so much content you got to make. So anyway, yeah, that's my thought on that. All right, what's next?
Michael's back and says, if Grant Gustin is in Gunn's DCU, he should play Henry Allen. John Wesley Shipp did the same after his run in the 90s. Would be nice if Grant did it too.
No, I don't agree. I mean, I love the idea of seeing Grant Gustin in James Gunn's DCU as some character, but that's such a gimmick to have him play like one of those characters. It would just be a cheap gimmick. And honestly, I think it's a disservice to Grant Gustin to do something like that. I mean, I really liked him as the idea. You weren't here for this day we were talking about, but I would love Grant Gustin as Plastic Man. Who was it that Chris said she could see him playing? It was a really good one.
Was it one of the Green Lanterns? One of them?
Yeah, maybe like a Kyle Rayner.
I think that's
Green
what she
Lantern.
said.
A Kyle Rayner Green Lantern. Maybe The Question.
Yeah.
I don't know, could you see Grant Gustin playing anybody in the new DCU?
Yeah, but I don't know exactly who. I just think that they don't. We know that Peacemaker 2 is being taken out of continuity. I think that they have to.
No, Peacemaker 1 was taken out of continuity.
Peacemaker, yes, but Peacemaker was that iteration of it. I think they need to start fresh. I think doing any ties with anything else defeats the purpose of what they're trying to do. So, I mean, I could see Grant Gustin's a great actor. He could play anything, but I think by putting him in there, they're immediately drawing attention to other things, and I don't think that they should do that.
Well, they are doing it with Jason Momoa. And the reality is, like, I was a big fan of the Flash series. It will go down to me as one of the more enjoyable comic book shows that I watch, at least for most of its seasons.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people watched it. It really didn't have a big audience. So I think a lot of people wouldn't associate him with
they might
that.
not. I mean, but he's Kyle Rayner's probably, that's a great call. Or somebody like, I could see him playing Booster Gold too.
He wouldn't be a bad Booster Gold.
No.
A lot of people liked Nathan Fillion for Booster Gold, but they made him a Green Lantern instead.
Well, him being Guy Gardner's hilarious to me.
I cannot wait to see Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner. I think it's going to be hilarious.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
CM Waters, film enthusiast, says, if these new emotions in Inside Out are popping up because Riley's getting older, why don't we see those emotions in, for instance, the mom or dad? What's your guess? Well, it's from her perspective.
It's not important.
Yeah.
Because what he's referring to is in the original Inside Out, a couple of times they popped into the emotions in other people's heads, right? And they were the same emotion that young Riley had. So now they had this new idea. What if we did Inside Out 2, but we explored new emotions that she gets as she goes? Why didn't they show those emotions in the first one? Because they hadn't thought of it. This was a new idea for a way to go into a second film. Because, Pixar doesn't like just to do a sequel for the sake of doing a sequel. They want to have a great idea first. And somebody came up with the great idea of saying, what if now she's dealing with new emotions that they haven't dealt with before? So I wouldn't read too much into it or worry about it as far as canon goes.
Yeah.
It's a Pixar animated film. I wouldn't worry about it at all. All right, what's next?
They were in the other room.
Yeah, they were just in the other room.
Yeah. Wade's Way says, as long as they have trusted directors and writers for the next Avengers films or any film, I'll always believe that Marvel will bounce back strong.
I have no doubt Marvel will bounce back. Look, just because I can see things with my eyes and not my butthole, to quote Ray Ora, that Marvel has struggled the last few years, but that doesn't mean I don't believe in them. Too many fans think if you're a fan of something, deny anything is wrong. That's not good fandom. That's bad fandom. That's non-sincere or insincere fandom. We can see with our eyes that Marvel has put out some substandard product the last couple of years. Some of it great, some of it not. I don't believe they can turn things back around, especially once a new CEO comes in and reinvests power back into Kevin Feige. There's no reason to believe they can't turn it back around once they get things back to the way they should be doing them. So yeah, I think, Rob, who knows how Avengers 5 and 6 will turn out, but I believe he's going to make them great. I really, really do. I think Kevin Feige will make sure that those things are going to be great. I don't know. What do you think?
I do too. No, I think you're absolutely right because look, Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame are two of the greatest fantasy sci-fi movies ever made. And together they're a wildly entertaining cinematic experience. Yeah, they paid off on what was built up, but that was part of the whole genius of the MCU, is that it led up to something like Infinity War and Endgame, and the quality level is at the very highest peak you can get. And that was under the stewardship of Kevin Feige, and I think that nowadays, I think that Deadpool and Wolverine is going to be very telling. In that I don't think
important, man.
It's going to be, but I think I don't expect it to have much to say about the larger MCU. I think it's going to be a wildly entertaining romp, and by the end of that movie, they're gonna be in a place where they want to be and start again. It's going to be sort of all this ridiculousness. It's kind of the culmination of all that, and I think that it's going to be a jumping off point for excellence. That's what Deadpool and Wolverine, because I think it's the closing of the door of 20th Century Fox and all that, but it's also unto itself. It's a transitional moment when the studio's fully integrated to launch to the X-Men, launch to the Fantastic Four, launch to wherever they're going to go. And I have all the faith in the world that Kevin Feige is able to. He's a very smart guy. He learned from the best. He cut his teeth on 14 Marvel movies that worked and didn't work before the MCU started, and then he made the most successful franchise in Hollywood history. So I am not going to bet against him. I think that they had a big misstep. He can now point to what's going on and why it happened and say, let's not do that again.
By the way, we haven't mentioned that with Jonathan Majors out as Kang, there is, amongst the rumor mill, a frontrunner that's popped up who's even said, my management has been talking to Marvel, and he's not denying that it's for Kang, and that's Coleman Domingo.
Great choice.
Who was just nominated for an Academy Award for Rustin. He is fabulous. Like, he's really good. I'd be okay if they just took Kang out entirely, but if you're going to continue to do Kang, you got to get somebody who can come in and deliver the kind of performance that an actor on the level of Jonathan Majors can deliver. This is your guy. This guy can do it. Easy. Like, not bad.
And I mean, the idea of Kang variants, there's going to be no problem. People will buy into that immediately.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. All right, what's next?
CJ Rebirth says, finally watching The Naked Gun, and it's hilarious.
So good.
Did anyone see The Driver when Frank's car drives away and when he's bribing the dock worker?
One of the great memes that is used all the time, has been for decades, will continue to be used, is him going, nothing to see here, nothing to see here. I still think one of the funniest lines ever is, nice beaver. That is like one of the great lines ever. The movies are so funny. A little awkward once OJ's in them.
But I think a lot of this generation wouldn't even really know.
No, they wouldn't know.
That's true. They just, who's that guy? No idea.
Yeah.
A lot of them don't even know who OJ
He's the
is.
co-star of Capricorn 1.
Yeah, what's Capricorn 1?
All right, what's next?
Aaron Munoz says, missed all of last week because I wrapped shooting on my first film.
Oh, nice.
A music documentary about a very eccentric electric band. I was living in this prestigious music studio for a week. Shit was hard, laughing my ass off.
Making a movie is always hard, man. And whenever you can complete, well, any big project, most people never complete big projects in their life. And bringing something like that to fruition is awesome. Congratulations, man. That's really cool. All right, what's next?
Jamel Turney says, John, what are your expectations for the Mufasa prequel at the end of the year? Mufasa.
Not many.
Pain.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, not many.
Pain.
Yeah.
And lest you think it's because, well, that's because I didn't like the recent Lion King CGI. I loved it. I don't give a fuck about what anybody else who thinks they sound smart saying it. The Lion King CGI remake was awesome. Wasn't as good as the original. I completely agree. Was not as good as the original. The original is my all-time favorite animated movie. But I think the remake with CGI, it's the highest grossing animated film of all time. And I think it's wonderful, even if not as good as the original. Well then, John, why are you excited for this Mufasa thing? I don't like prequels. I mean, there are some exceptions, yep. But generally speaking, I don't get excited about prequels that much. Now, I'm totally open to the movie being great. If it's awesome, wonderful, I'll love it. But I'm not going to pretend that I'm excited for it right now. Maybe if they put out an awesome trailer, it'll change. I don't know, Rob, you got any expectations right now for this Mufasa prequel?
Look, if they put something into production like this, obviously, I think somebody thought they had a good idea. And I'm willing to bet on the fact, I mean, Mufasa is such a cool character. My fingers would be crossed that it's going to be great. On the other hand, it's like, do you really have to make a prequel to The Lion King? I mean, can't we get something new? That's the thing. Unless the story, I will say this though, look, I thought Wonka wasn't going to work. I was like, why would anybody want this? But after watching it, I liked it. I was like, this is pretty good. Timothy Chalamet did a great job. The movie's a lot of fun, beautifully made. Shouldn't surprise me based on who's involved. So look, if Mufasa can, I know they're totally different movies, but if Mufasa can deliver the goods the way a movie like Wonka delivered the goods, I'm like, okay, I get what you're doing. You've made something. You want to make money. You're building off the Lion King. If it had to be done, great. So my fingers are crossed that it's going to be good. I really don't know if it can be, but I hope it is.
Isn't? Correct me if I'm wrong, Ray.
Okay.
See who's directing it. Isn't Jenkins directing it?
Oh, I don't know I don't even know who's directing it.
We're talking about.
Is it
The Mufasa. Yeah,
Barry
the-
Jenkins?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't he directing it?
Yeah, I think he
I mean,
is
'cause-
actually.
It's Barry Jenkins.
It is Barry Jenkins.
I mean, he's top notch.
He's an incredible director.
Incredible.
So maybe they can make something good out of it.
But then again, so is the director who made Cats.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. Fortunately, that's an exception.
It's yes.
That's an exception. All right. What's next?
All right. Minase says, "Hey John, you said in an earlier episode that you think the 2010 Karate Kid movie is better than the original. Very hot take. Can you explain why?"
Because it's better. It's less cheesy. The dialogue sounds more real. The action and the fighting is better. I mean, I know that's a hot take. Don't get me wrong. The original Karate Kid has a special place in my heart. Pat Morita forever. But if I'm going to be honest, I enjoyed watching the remake better. I just did.
I actually watched the first Karate Kid with
The original?
yeah,
Ralph
the original
Macchio?
one the other night, and I was like, or what's his name, LaRusso?
Daniel
right?
LaRusso.
He is the most rudest kid I've ever seen. Rewatch it. Tell me who doesn't knock on his door. He just walks in while he's doing stuff and interrupting Mr. Miyagi. He intruded in his life. He deserved to get his butt kicked.
You know what?
Actually.
I'm not a fan of Cobra Kai. But they did something amazing where there's this one episode where they're talking to Johnny, who of course is the bad guy in the original film, and now he's a protagonist. And about how you were always mean to Johnny in high school. He's like, Johnny, that LaRusso dude did nothing but bully me the whole time I was there. And as an audience, you're like, what are you talking about? And then they look back. They cut in scenes from the original Karate Kid from Johnny's perspective. And from Johnny's perspective, Daniel LaRusso was an asshole
He is.
who came in and like completely disrupted his life. And like, I just thought it was really neat the way they said, hey, you know what? I think it's a good lesson in life. It's like, okay, yeah, we saw that movie from one perspective.
From a certain point of view.
From a certain point of view, as Obi-Wan would say. What if we looked at those exact same events, but from the other guy's perspective? And from the other guy's perspective, Daniel was the bad guy. I just thought it was really, really cool. I mean, I didn't like the show, but I thought they did a couple of really cool things. And I thought that was one of the really cool things they did.
And I like Jackie Chan. Like that's
I
why I
love
like
Jackie Chan.
So I like the newer one. I'm more of like a newest. I don't know if that's what you call him. Where like Force Awakens, I like more than the old Star Wars. So it's just a way. I don't know.
All right, what's next?
DZ Studio says, "Hey, John and crew, boyfriend and I have completed the first season of Succession. We are obsessed. I hate there's only 4 seasons. Kieran Culkin is golden.
Yeah, I won a lot of awards for the final season.
His competitors are glad.
Of course, Brian Cox won most of the awards for the first few seasons, but a lot of awards to go around. It's an amazing show. Absolutely amazing show. I don't think it cracks my all-time top 10 favorite, but Succession was a special show. And I love when they talk to the creator. It's like, you know what? The creator of the show said, we got to call our own shot when we ended it, and we felt like we've told the story. He said, we just feel like we've told the story by the end of season 4, so there's no point in doing more. And honestly, I think they did a good job making the show. You watched the show, right?
Dude, I loved it.
They did a good job making the show continue to flow once Brian Cox's character died. I don't know that you can do another
Spoiler
season.
alert for our viewer.
It's been out for a couple of years. I don't know if you can carry that show on for a full season without Brian Cox's presence.
Well,
in
no,
it.
because like you said, the creators said the story we wanted to tell, it's called Succession. Eventually, the succession has to happen, and then your show is not called The New Regime, and then you get Kate Winslet to be in it. I love that show, by the way.
Is it
The
good?
Regime. I liked it. I've only seen the first episode. I really liked it. Look, Kate Winslet's my girl.
Oh, I love Kate. Oh,
She's having a blast. Ball.
The
Both.
mayor of Easttown
Ball
is
blast.
so good. Kate Winslet just rules in that. All right, what's next?
I'm a terrible person.
Mr. Rice says, Acolyte trailer tomorrow. Can't wait.
Is this true?
I don't know.
Ray,
The
can you find
poster,
any
the
news on that?
poster came out. I love the poster.
They did drop a poster?
Yeah, it's great. It's got a lightsaber, but like blood's dripping down a wall with a light. So instead of a lightsaber blade, it's like blood dripping down a wall.
Confirmed. Arriving tomorrow.
I'm so stoked because you guys know ever since that Disney call they did like 5 years ago now, this is the Star Wars project I've been pumped about. Acolyte is the Star Wars project I've been excited about. And finally a trailer tomorrow. So it'll either break my heart or make my enthusiasm go through the roof. I'm still thinking that listen, Rob, I'll be honest with you. Everything I've heard, I have loved so far. Like even, especially when you hear Daphne Keane, who played, of course, X-23 in Logan, like she's just like over the moon about it, which newsflash, actor says the thing they're in is good. Water wet. I get that. But still hearing the enthusiasm she has and the belief they've had in it, I hope it's great. I don't know where your expectations like right now for Acolyte.
I'm gonna wait and see.
Look, you liked Russian Dolls, right?
What's that?
You liked Russian Dolls.
I love Russian. I love
And
Russian.
it's the
Dolls.
same. The showrunner
I
from Russian
know.
Dolls is doing this, and
Harvey Weinstein's ex-assistant.
is that who she is?
Yes.
I never knew that.
Yes.
Good on her.
But now I hope that this show, what I've always wanted to know, John, is what do the Sith want? You know, what is the reason for the Sith's machinations? What are they doing? I mean, we know bringing balance to the Force is what the Jedi want to do, but what do the Sith want? You know, other than being evil.
They want power.
Battle station it's fully operational. I mean, I really want them to get into Sith philosophy. That's what I want out of the show. Like, what do they hope to achieve? What does it mean to become a Sith? Like, we know what it means to how you become a Jedi. How do you become an apprentice to a Sith Lord? I don't know. I don't know if they're going to show us that, but that's
Are they going to have the rule of two?
That's where
in it?
my
Are they
expectation
not?
is that I really want to know about Sith philosophy and delve into it. I want to know.
All right. Well, here's hoping, man. I didn't know the trailer was coming tomorrow. I'm super stoked about it, though. All right. What's next?
We got Ron H, who says, House of Ninjas, what'd you think of season 1?
I still haven't seen it.
I
You
finished
saw
it.
And?
Dude, it's got ninjas. No, it was.
And it's season 1.
Okay, here's the thing. Is it the greatest show in the world? No. But neither is American Ninja or American Ninja 2 or Ninja 3 The Domination or whatever. But I did really enjoy it. Kind of, I even liked it maybe better than, what was the other show that just got canceled that I really like with Michelle Yeoh in it?
Oh,
One
Brother's
season?
Son.
Brother's Son.
That was awesome. I love that
I
show.
love that show. I didn't love this show as much, but I still liked it. You know, both of these shows I kind of was watching together in tandem. I liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun. You know, it's not exactly highbrow. I want a highbrow ninja show. Shogun's that.
I'm going to admit to you something. The reason I haven't watched it yet is because I got a little disappointed. Because when I saw the trailer, it looked like Succession with ninjas.
Oh, yeah, no.
Like it looked like a drama about this guy who got out of the ninja life
No.
and whatever. But then I started hearing from people like yourself saying it's actually a comedy.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, like that doesn't mean it can't be great. I loved what the trailer kind of presented. That's all. So I got a little bit disappointed.
Yeah. I'll watch. I mean, Three Ninjas, one of our viewers just brought up. I even watched that because there's ninjas in it. 3 of them. Young.
All right. What's
Three.
next?
Hayden Centaur gives us a little
Thank you, Hayden.
birdie sticker thing.
A little support badge. Thank you, man.
Yeah. Forever Blue with a $20 super chat says, HBO Max announced trailers for House of the Dragon, the Penguin Dune Messiah show this Thursday. Excited for this.
First of all, Forever Blue, thank you so much for supporting us on that level, man. That's awesome. What? A new trailer. So we got an Acolyte trailer coming tomorrow. We got new House of the Dragon, Penguin, and what was the other one?
The Dune Sisterhood.
Dune, yeah.
No way.
We're gonna get a Dune Sisterhood trailer.
No way.
Well, he said Dune
Well, he
Messiah.
said Dune
We're not
and
getting
Messiah,
a Dune.
but
Oh,
he
no,
meant-
we're
gotta
definitely
be
not
it's got to be the
Sisterhood.
Sisterhood. Or it's the Dune Prop, whatever they're calling it now. It's not
Holy shit!
Sisterhood
Thursday's
Prophecy.
gonna be a busy day, my friends. You might want to come in that day. You're not,
I'll come in.
you're not
Unless we're
normally
doing a
here on
remote
Thursdays,
show. I
but
don't know.
that might be a
Good
day to
now.
come in. All right, well, I'm stoked. I cannot wait to see all this. All right, what's next?
Spooky Castle Productions writes, no. Dr. Stinky writes, I rewatched the 78 Halloween, and I forget how this is in top 5 greatest horror films of all time, and watched the 2018 trailer. Myers is genuinely as scary in 2018. What's your favorite Myers moment? Bring on the filthy.
I have two things that I
Myers
am
moment.
very
Here it
unpopular
comes.
for amongst my film-loving friends. The first thing is that while I acknowledge it's an all-time sci-fi classic, I don't like the original Blade Runner. I think the first Halloween is terrible.
You just made the list!
I don't like the first Halloween trailer. About 20 years ago, I went back. A girlfriend of mine was having a big viewing party, and we said, we're going to watch the original Halloween. And it'd been a long time since I saw it. Like, I saw it when I was a kid. I'm like, cool. And then I watched it again. I'm like, this is a bad movie.
How dare you?
I think the 2018 version is a much better movie. And I think the 2018 version is the only good Halloween. I don't think any of the other Halloweens are any good. Now, especially not Rob Zombie's. And I love Rob Zombie. Don't get me
Okay,
wrong.
that was easy one. That's
But I really like the 2018 Rob, but one. But Rob, you like most people, most sane movie-loving fans, love the original Halloween.
Halloween was the very first piece of physical media I ever owned. It was on Meta VHS, 1980. I've seen that movie 100 times. I could probably tell you each individual shot, but my favorite moment, my favorite Michael Myers moment from the original Halloween is after Jamie Lee Curtis thinks that she's killed him by sticking a knitting needle in his eyeball, his eye socket, whatever. And he falls when she's in the closet, and she's there crying, and the camera's in the foreground, and her face is in the foreground. You know, she's crying, and you see Michael Myers just
get up.
sit up.
Yeah, like perfectly sit up.
Perfectly sit up. That's one of my favorite. And then also when you see him step through in the middle of the broad daylight when they're walking on the street, and you see him in the sheets drying on the what is it, linen things, whatever they're called. I love that shot too. But when he sits up to me, that is the quintessential Michael Myers moment.
You know, it's the one good thing I'll say about the original Halloween. They talked about how it was the foundational inspiration for Undertaker.
Oh.
That Undertaker was primarily kind of modeled when they first were playing with the gimmick ideas. Because I forget, what's Undertaker's real name again?
Mark Calloway.
Mark Calloway. And, you know, Mark and his guys were trying to work out this new gimmick. And one of the big foundational things was, what about like a Michael Myers? And that became one of the cornerstones for The Undertaker.
I would also like to point out that this week, John, March 22nd, is the birthday of the greatest Canadian who ever lived, William Shatner. And Michael Myers is wearing a William Shatner mask all through the original Halloween movies. That is a mask of William Shatner, painted.
Really?
Yes, it is.
I did not know that. By the way, the greatest Canadian is probably Wayne Gretzky, but I mean, that's besides.
No, William Shatner. And he's going to be 93, John.
And still kicking, man. Still going. He's got his. Are you going to that event? They've
Yes.
got that. The
I
new
wanna go.
documentary about
Yes,
him?
I am.
Tickets are available.
You can
Are
get
they?
tickets. Yes.
All right. What's next?
Michael says, I watched Dunstan checks in this weekend. Oh yeah.
I have no idea what any of that meant.
Is that the movie with the monkey?
Dunstan.
Dunstan checks in. Is Dunstan I've never seen this movie.
I'm not familiar with the title. All right. Anyway, let's move on. What's
All
next?
right. Hank Pym says, Campea v. Harloff in a street fight. Who wins? Harloff would kill him with dad jokes.
And John can actually, he's UFC trained.
God, it is the one.
It is a monkey movie, right?
The monkey movie.
You've trained at a UFC gym.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I used to train in Hamilton with a guy who was an early years UFC fighter, and then when I came here, I started training at Bass Rutan's gym, and of course Captain America himself was there, former UFC heavyweight champion and light heavyweight champion, now doing movies like Expendables. So I trained there, and then in recent years I trained at the UFC gym. Yeah.
Maybe you could be the undercard of Tyson Paul. Call Harloff up, see if you guys can do that.
No, see, Jake Paul's a joke, but he would still beat me. Like I train. I don't propose to be, I don't submit myself as some kind of legit fighter.
Do you think? I think Mike
You'd beat
Tyson
me.
might kill him.
I'm hoping. he
Mike Tyson's approaching 60 though.
will. But it was
I know, but still, he's training.
Yeah, but look, here's the thing I'll say about Jake Paul. He has done nothing but joke, pathetic sideshow fights, right? But he had one fight against a legitimate boxer, Tyson Fury's younger brother, who is a legitimate boxer. He's not Tyson Fury, but he's a legitimate boxer. Now, Jake Paul lost that fight. But he showed a lot of people, including me, that you know what? He's not a great boxer, but he's a legitimate boxer.
And he works hard.
Jake Paul has turned himself. He's not a very good boxer, but he's a legitimate professional boxer because he lost that fight to Tyson. But he literally held his own in a fight against a real boxer, and I think he won a lot of respect that day. But now he's fighting like an almost 60-year-old Mike Tyson.
But
a lot of money for the
aside from
sport.
the Clubber Lang one-word pain answer, do you have any predictions for that fight? How many rounds it might go?
Goes the distance. Jake Paul wins by decision because they've probably already decided that's what's going to be.
That fight's over. If Tyson knocks him out, it's got to be in the first 2 rounds. I don't see him having the gas to actually go past that.
Longevity there. Yeah.
It's just the way it is.
All right, what's next?
We got Zach Taylor who says, ready for the Poovers. I know I just love it because it's so bad fun.
We were just talking about that before
Yeah.
the show starts. For those of you who don't know, and I'm going to see if I can pull this up. I'm not sure that I can. But, yeah, here it comes. So don't bring it up quite yet. I got to get this pop-up closed before we do. But news came out. Here, you can bring it up now. Welcome to the Perverse Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey team to unite Pooh, Bambi, Tinkerbell, and more in low-budget horror crossover. Here's the concept art. That's Winnie the Pooh riding a were-deer.
Why is Bambi dead? Why
Is
is Bambi a
riding
weredeer?
Bambi. I don't know who the dude in the far right is supposed to be with the big black eyes and the pointy nose. Like looks like some kind of goblin. The guy on the right looks like Johnny Depp in the Headless Horseman movie.
Yeah. That one's kind of terrifying. Who's the Karen with the syringe?
That's not supposed to be Tinkerbell, is it?
I don't know.
Yeah, look.
But I would see the movie if it looked like this art.
Okay, but it's not going to look like that.
I know.
Right?
But I
Here,
would see
look.
it if it did.
Oh, that's supposed to be Pinocchio.
Oh, that would make sense. Okay.
Oh, made of wood, right. Okay.
All right, but I would say this. I thought Pooh, Blood and Honey, it's an awful movie. I mean, it's terrible, but it was such a great idea, right? And it played on this thing. Okay, now it's in the public domain. We can do this stuff.
Maybe this will be the Rush Hour 2 of Pooh, Blood, and Honey
The Rush
movies.
Hour 2 of Winnie the Pooh. But,
Maybe.
guys, the novelty's done. Yeah. Like, when they first announced, it's like, that's hilarious. That's great. Yeah, do that, right? That novelty's over now. This is a stupid idea, and nobody will care. I mean, we all know one guy who's going to care. but
Shout out.
yeah, shout out. But I mean, nobody's going to care. I mean, again, the shtick is done. They did the joke. It's like doing the knock knock joke and then 5 seconds later saying knock knock again. It's like, no, the time has passed. I don't know, Rob. Do you think this could be any good?
No. No, John, there's a project when it comes to movies like this, even though Santa Claus is involved, there's an author named Robert Devereaux, and he wrote a book, very R, borderline X-rated, called Santa Steps Out, about the ramifications of what happens when Santa Claus has an affair with the Tooth Fairy. And if I could see anything made as an animated film or a live-action film that goes along the lines of famous or beloved characters like this, I would want to see Santa Steps Out. This movie I thought Pooh, Blood and Honey, it's not that it was just bad. It wasn't witty.
No, it wasn't clever.
With that low budget, if it was clever and it had a lot of wit and verve and satire and it was really well written, it could have been terrific.
Now, when I mentioned somebody we know is excited, my old assistant, Taylor, who you guys will remember on the show, he loved Pooh, Blood and Honey. So much so that like the director and producers of the movie got in touch with them and said they could do an interview with them. And now I know why. He's the only one who liked it. We love Taylor around here, by the way. I'm just saying, but like, whoo, 'cause that movie was rough, man.
One day I'm going to tell him I'm actually his dad.
Actually the deadbeat dad. All right, what's next?
All right. Let's see. Braden Clark says, do you think a cinematic universe can survive or be financially successful when they rely on TV to combine with their movie universe?
No.
Yeah, not if you
That's
have
something
to
they always used to know
reference.
before. They always used to know before. Like, seriously, like, as much as the DCU ultimately stumbled, the one thing they had right was keep your television stuff and your movie stuff separate. Right? That's what made them have, like, the Arrowverse was successful.
Yeah.
And I think the reason it was successful is because it didn't have its hands tied creatively and they weren't beholden to what was going on in the movie universe. They could do their own thing with complete creative freedom and did their own stuff. I mean, not complete creative freedom. They couldn't use Batman per se. That's fine. I really do think look, as much as I love WandaVision and Ms. Marvel and, whatever, I really do think it's a good idea to keep the TV and movie universes separate. I don't know, Rob, what do you think about that?
No, I agree with you. Because the problem is, we saw it with Marvels. There's a graphic example of taking your television shows and your movie characters and trying to combine them into one. And I don't think it works because for whatever reason, we, the viewers, expect more from our movies. And it works when a movie character shows up in a TV show. But I don't think the reverse is necessarily true. Taking TV characters, because they haven't earned the right to be in movies yet, if that makes any sense.
Yep. All right, what's next?
Michael's back and says, I also watched Tank Girl and See Spot Run. Loved it.
I kind of like Tank Girl.
It's pretty good.
I know it's a B kind of whatever, but I always got a kick out of Tank Girl.
Why not?
It's a product of the 90s. It's in its own,
All right, what's next?
Daniel Vasquez says, hey, John and crew, it's me, Daniel, from last year's CinemaCon. I got my ticket for this year and can't wait to see you guys again.
I met a lot of people at CinemaCon, so I'm not quite sure.
But this is Daniel.
No, but it's Daniel who would always find us, and we always went into the show.
Yeah, looking forward to CinemaCon this year, as I do every year. I mean, after hearing the first reactions for Fall Guy, I cannot wait for that Fall Guy screening.
We haven't talked about that, but I'm very excited.
I'm so stoked for that movie. And what are the other 3 movies they're showing us? They still haven't let us know. I know you still think Deadpool's on the menu.
Wait, you're getting
all anime.
You're getting
all anime.
You guys are getting 4 movies?
I
Or
think
3?
they said they're doing 4 this year.
Oh, wow.
I might be wrong. It might still
Demon
be 3.
Slayer.
There you go.
All right, what's next?
All right. Mason Rain says, hey, John and crew. John, I loved how you mentioned in a previous episode how good The Offer is. It's so good. Doesn't get enough love. Thanks.
I'm shocked it didn't get more Emmy attention.
Matthew Good deserved to win as Bob Evans.
He was Bubby.
He was so good.
So good.
So good.
But listen, everybody topped Miles Teller. Like there's this fallacy a lot of film fans have that if you don't like a movie an actor's in, that means you don't like the actor. You don't think the actor's very good. But and Miles Teller's been in his fair share of not so good stuff. He has. He's a wonderful actor. J.K. Simmons always says that he won his Academy Award for Whiplash because he was playing off Miles Teller. Right? Miles Teller is a fabulous actor.
I think so too.
I mean, you don't have to like the Fantastic Four movie he was in to acknowledge it, but he's a fabulous actor. And my God, was he ever good in The Offer? It's just so. And what's his name? Who played Coppola? Not Josh Gad.
Oh yeah.
He's in Kyle's movie Fanboys.
Right.
He's in the Ping Pong.
Dan Fogel.
Dan Fogel.
Fogelman.
Dan
Oh,
Fogel.
yeah. Fang's Mansion.
He as Coppola, he showed me something I didn't know he was capable of.
He was great.
Guys, seriously, you don't even have to have ever watched The Godfather.
Juno Temple was great. I love the actors in that, whether it was true or not.
Listen, you don't have to be a fan of The Godfather, but if you're watching my show and you haven't watched The Godfather, come on. But it is.
Oh, we just lost half our subscribers.
They're all gone. It is so. It's a show about how The Godfather got made. And it's just such great drama. It's so good. Make sure you check it out. I believe it's still on Paramount Plus. It's called The Offer. Go find it and watch it. You're going to love it. All right, what's next?
Michael is back. He says, bring it on and Mouse Hunt are important to me.
I never did.
Bring It On's good though.
Yeah, bring it
The
on.
original one.
Yeah, Bring It On.
The original one
is good.
I never did see Mouse Hunt though. That's Nathan Lane, right?
There's a reason why. Neither did I.
Yeah, but I think Nathan Lane was in that one. All right, what's next?
All right. We got Aryaman says, Kung Fu Panda is clearly doing very well. Not interested in Dune.
Listen, I've always said, like, before the movie came out, the reasons, like, I'd say Dune's 2 is not going to make $1 billion. People, why don't you believe in it? I do believe in it, but I also know that it is not a popcorn movie for the masses.
No.
And I love popcorn movies for the masses. Star Wars is a popcorn film for the masses. Pixar films, popcorn films for the masses. You can be deep and smart and all that kind of stuff and still be a popcorn film for the masses. Dune is not for everybody. It's absolutely not for everybody. The fact that it's in 17 days has made $500 million for the kind of movie it is, Oppenheimer had the same kind of success
Yeah.
too. It's incredible, but if you're not interested in it, you don't need to feel bad about that. It's not for everyone, and there's nothing wrong with that. And yes, Kung Fu Panda 2 is doing quite well. I hope it can have legs. All right, what's next?
We got Sepple fan who says, finally saw Dune, and as a lover of most things metal, Gady Prime was metal AF.
Who is Geldy?
Geedy Prime is
Geedy.
the Harkonnen's home planet.
Oh, I'll tell
With
you
the
what.
Black Sun.
Yeah.
That effect. At first, I thought it was just a storytelling device that will shoot the stuff on the Harkonnen homeworld in black and white. But no, when they step out of the daylight into artificial light, color returns. And this whole concept of the Black Sun, because that wasn't in the books, if I'm not
No,
mistaken.
they added that.
Yeah. That's a really cool way to kind of show the vastness of the universe and how different the universe is.
Yeah.
And very cool thing to do. I liked it a lot. But I still have one remaining question. Are those people naturally bald? Or is it just a thing in their society that everybody shaves their head? Because Lady Jessica, when they showed her as a little baby, she had hair. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if the
It's a
movie
good
ever
question.
addressed that.
Maybe
'Cause
it's
in
a
the books they
genetic,
have
you
hair.
know, with selective breeding, the eugenics programs that the Bene Gesserit have enacted. Maybe the Harkonnens don't have.
That's true.
The men don't have hair. Male pattern baldness was
Because all the
built
women in the movie were bald too. So, I mean, I don't know. All right, what's next?
We got Spooky Castle Productions who says a couple indie movie recommendations. Dude, I love SLC. At 1998's LCC Punk, starring Matthew Lillard. Love that movie. And more recently, Onyx the Fortuitous and The Talisman of Souls.
I have SLC Punk in 4K.
I'm not familiar with SLC Punk. Which one's
you've never
what's
seen
that?
SLC
No, I have
Punk.
not. What is it?
It's a movie, but with Matthew Lillard as a Salt Lake City punk.
Yeah. It takes place in the 80s, I believe.
Yeah.
And they're punk rockers.
Yeah.
And it's just like their lives and tribulations. Yeah.
It's a great double feature with Repo Man. But it did come out as part of the Sony Classics collection, celebrating the first 30 years or 40 years of Sony Classics, and they remastered it in 4K.
It's so funny because when you think of Matthew Lillard, you still today think of him as a high school goofball, whatever, right? I recently just bumped into him. My buddy Kyle Newman, director of Fanboys, he did a film for Amazon last year called Ready Player, not Ready. What's it called?
One Up?
One Up, video game movie, right? And so I was down at the premiere of it, and I'm standing in the popcorn line, and I realize it's Matthew Lillard right in front of us. But it's so weird because he was like in a cardigan, and he was there with his son and stuff like that. It's like, this is not fitting with my perception and image of Matthew Lillard. But it was really
Scream,
cool.
baby.
He's
Scream
really
one.
nice too. He's really, really nice. All right, what's next?
DGF627 says a most thoughtful discussion about Michael Jackson's career and life, period. I think that was a compliment on
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that very much. It's going to be really interesting to see how the movie itself turns out and how much more controversy starts to surround it. All right, what's next?
Okay, Future Millionaire says, Ray, you guys convinced me to give Halo a shot. Almost done with the first season. Not bad overall. I just didn't like the B plot. 7 out of 10 for me. From Future
Oh,
Millionaire.
wow. Nice.
I agree with that assessment of season 1. Not bad overall. Like, it definitely has some weird choices they made in season 1. Not all of it was riveting. To me, it was just good enough that I kept watching it and thought, I'll give season 2 a shot when it comes out and see if it picks up. I think season 2 has been a significant improvement over season 1. I've really liked season 2.
Yep.
And then we're just heading into the last episode this week, right?
Yeah. There's I've seen some videos of people like some people are really not liking it. I just think I'm enjoying what it is for what it's just what we're presented. I've actually liked. I'm not too attached to the Halo origin story or whatever. It's fine.
See, too many people get upset because it's not like the game. It's like, I could give two shits whether it's like the game. Is it on its own good or not?
Right.
And I see too many people online that are like, I've seen some people online who have never played Halo and don't like the show. See, I take that a lot more seriously than people who just, they're mad because it's not like the
Right.
game. I was not a big Halo player,
Right.
but I think the show on its own merits, again, the first season wasn't great.
The best
It
thing
was
they've
all
done
right.
this season is they've made me care about the guy inside the suit.
Yes.
They were trying to put them together in the first season, and it was just not working. But now that they separated the two, the man and then the man when he's in the suit is
the
Master
man and the
Chief.
myth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's working for me.
I agree. I think it's working. I'm enjoying it so far. Again, it's not Succession.
No.
It's not Andor.
But it's Paramount Plus, baby.
But it's pretty good.
$3.99
Season
per
2's pretty
month.
good. All right, what's next?
We got Ron H. who says Full Metal and Stupid, the buddy cop film you never heard of but always wanted to.
Coming soon from Burnett Plus.
No, it's copywritten John Campea. It's on your show.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I hold the copyright
You
too.
owe the copyright, bro.
That's right. All right, what's next?
All right, let me see here.
Are we moving over to our channel members?
That was
Yeah.
work for hire.
What's that?
He got that as work for hire.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
CP or Captain Kirk says, "Holy spider senses Batman! I just saw an ad on YouTube that all Spider-Man movies are being re-released in theaters again starting April 15th. Is this for real?"
It is
Have a great
100%
day.
for real. They are bringing back Sam Raimi's 3 Spider-Mans, the 2 Andrew Garfield Spider-Mans, the 3 Tom Holland Spider-Man films. They're bringing, and I think the Spider-Verse films as well, the animated Spider-Verse films. They're bringing them all back. I don't particularly think they'll do bonkers at the box office, but this year they're expecting like 100 wide release films are hitting theaters this year. That is down by almost 19%.
Yeah.
Because the previous year there was 124. The dual strikes have pushed off a lot of stuff. The theaters are looking for content. And that's why you see things like A24 just made a deal with AMC Theaters to re-show like the one that the girl Hereditary. They're going to put out Hereditary back in theaters. Like the theaters need content going into the.
Well, the
on
first
screens.
Sam Raimi Spider-Man came out 22 years ago. There's a whole generation of film goers. I mean, if you're 32
Never seen it
years
on the big
old,
screen.
never saw it on the big screen, and you know those 2 movies are a lot of fun on the big screen.
Yep.
And to make it, I mean, it'll be a thing. You know, after Barbenheimer and you have people dressing up going to the theaters, I think this is a thing. Like you should be able to buy a special ticket to get and maybe give you a promotional lanyard. Like if you have a thing that make it a deal where you can go and see all of them. Make it fun.
Do you see them doing like something like the House of the Dragon premiere, maybe throwing that in theaters?
What do you
Or
mean?
is that too expensive? Does that cost the theaters more?
What do you mean?
House of the Dragon season
like
2.
House of the Dragon when it premieres, you see like things like that if they need content for the theaters. You know, maybe the
Yeah, I
first
mean,
2 episodes.
They could do that. I mean,
The original Game of Thrones did 1 or 2 episodes
Watchers
that
on
they showed
the
a day
Wall.
or 2 early in theaters first.
Yeah.
yeah.
So I could see them doing some stuff like that. Again, everything should be fine again next year,
Right.
but it's going to be the theaters right now are struggling to get enough content on their screens.
Real quick, Ray sent me this story. Apparently, they got a couple front runners for Kang. The first
yeah,
is
they did.
first here is Tracy Morgan. I think is a front runner
my
for
God.
for Kang, and also I think they might be running with Kevin Hart. So we'll see how this develops. The story is just breaking, guys.
Tracy Morgan as Kang.
Okay.
I would watch that.
I would
Brian
morbidly watch
Fellows.
that.
Brian Fellows.
All right,
Anyway,
what's
moving on
next?
to our back to our members here. Omasaxina. I'm saying that wrong. Sorry, John.
Yeah.
You might want to check out the WWE. The Rock is putting on a good show every week.
I have no doubt, but I don't watch wrestling anymore. I mean, I watch WrestleMania every year and probably one other big pay-per-view, but I don't watch the week in, week out wrestling anymore.
And I stopped watching because I realized last week
It's not real.
there's they put too much time in between between right now and WrestleMania. It's actually getting a little old to me. I hate to say it, but there's like what, 3 more weeks? I don't know.
All right, what's next?
We got Neon Gaming says probably too late to be spotted, but my question, Shogun, do you plan to do a show focus on post-show discussions,
Once the series after the finale,
like a review?
we're gonna do one big like wrap up, open spoiler discussion of Shogun once it's done. By the way, I can't remember the last time I have been counting down the days to the next episode of a show like I am for Shogun right now. This is like this is right up there with House of the Dragon and Last of Us, and I might even be liking it more than those shows.
It ain't Shogun, it's Showbiz.
It ain't Shogun. We'll see if it finishes as strong as it starts. We don't know, but like right now, I am loving Shogun. You saw the newest episode, right?
I've only seen through episode 4.
Right, that's the newest
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
So
oh, yeah.
the cannons.
Oh, dude.
Are we talking about real cannons, or are we talking about like cannons, like?
No, cannons, like real cannons, not like Star Wars canon, like cannons.
That's not the cannons he's talking about either.
No, yeah, because I remember I watched the first episode and I said, "Oh, there's boob right there," so I thought that could be symbol.
Is that cannons euphemism for boobs?
Yeah,
There were
cannons.
cannons in episode 4.
Yeah, there were.
So I was wondering this whole time with what you guys were talking about.
By the way, speaking of boobs,
Well, I'm glad I switched this subject.
I got to tell you this story. So I'm playing poker, and my wife starts texting me.
Boy, should I? read
And
them?
the first text to me was, baby, ... Rebecca Ferguson's boobs. I'm like, I don't have no idea what the context was. Now,
Did
apparently...
she just meet them, or what happened?
Apparently, did you just meet them? Apparently, I had no idea. About 10 years ago,
Oh boy.
there was a show called The White Queen,
Yeah.
which
Yeah,
I'd
yeah.
never heard of.
I have it on Blu-ray.
Like,
Oh,
it's
yeah, I
the
bet you
old,
do.
It
like,
doesn't belong to me, but I have it.
Queen Anne
ain't giving
kind
it
of era.
back.
One of those Queen Anne kind of like the Tudors and kind of sort of thing.
Yeah.
And apparently Rebecca Ferguson was in it before she got really big, I guess. And apparently
Wait, what do you
the
mean?
main star of the show was Rebecca Ferguson's boobs, because all my wife could, no, John, baby, she has really good boobs. I'm like, I
She's
believe
like
you, honey.
Swedish.
She was,
so-
and they show them a lot.
sorry.
I'm like, all right.
Swedish. I thought she was English. Or...
No, I think she's. Isn't she like Swedish or something?
Well, in the show, she's
know.
British. So there you go. I have no idea what her actual
she British?
ethnicity is. All right,
We
what's
all the
next?
same.
Anyway,
all the same.
all right. Alan says, "Happy Monday, Campy Crew. 22 Jump Street was on TV, so I watched it, and that movie is so funny. I also noticed Lord and Miller directed them both.
Oh yeah, that's how they really got
I
their
think
name.
that sequel's even better than the first.
I think the first one might be better overall, but I laughed more in the sequel.
I felt like the jokes hit even better. In
oh
the
yeah,
second.
they hit even harder. I mean, those are the movies that made Lord and Miller household names, because it wasn't Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. That's not what made them a household name. It was those Jump Street movies that made them a household name. And
The Jump Street movies.
man, and that's an example of there's 7, 8, 9, 10 of these of movies that I totally crap talked before they came out, and then loved them. Like, I mean, well, I didn't crap talk the second one, but I thought them doing 21 Jump Street remake with Jonah Hill and Channing Tatum. Like, this is going to be so bad, and I would mock it and all that kind of stuff. And then I went into the theater. This is why you leave your expectations at the door. Leave all your baggage at the door. And so I just went in to watch the movie on its own merits, forget everything I said before, and I laughed my ass off. I love those 21 and 22 Jump Street movies. I really hope someday they do a 23 Jump Street. Sounds like Jonah Hill might be too up on himself right now to do it, but I would love to see Channing Tatum and him get together for a 23 Jump Street. I'd be totally down for it. All right, what's next?
Real Life Entertainment says, "How have I never heard the extended version of the John Campea Show title theme? Gives some serious Linkin Park vibes."
I'll see if I can give a link to it. It's only like a 3-minute piece of music, but I'll see if I can give a link to that in the description. All right, what's next?
Callow says, "Rebel Moon Part 2 trailer is out. The trailer is action-packed. We'll see how the movie is and if it gets better reviews. We'll see."
I don't have a lot of belief in it. You know, and I say that, again, before Rebel Moon, only one time I didn't like a Zack Snyder film. Just once. I've liked every other one of his movies.
What about this director's cut? We gonna see that?
No, it's so stupid. It's so, especially with
Just
with
more of it?
Netflix. Nobody made him cut the movie down. Like, this whole director's cut, this was all just a promotional gimmick, because it's, number one, it's on Netflix. They were letting him make the movie any way he want. They purposefully did this version and then an extra long version.
But this is
they'll
like
just
the
call
R-rated version, the intimate
Again,
version.
it's something they could. There was no
pushing it,
studio.
man.
Here's the thing: director's cuts are normally, not all the time, normally, when they say, "Well, this was the true vision of the director," but you know, the studio couldn't let it be that long, or the studio didn't want it to be rated R, or whatever. But now, come see this director's cut, and this director's cut is the true vision of the film. Nobody was telling Zack Snyder he couldn't make it as long as he wanted to. And nobody was telling Zack Snyder couldn't be. It's on Netflix, for heaven's sakes. They didn't need to have the 14-year-old boys buying tickets to the movie theater. This is all just a stupid PR gimmick. And I guarantee you it's going to be even stupider than the original movie was. So yeah.
If it's got intimate scenes, I'll watch it.
Anyway, all right.
Just
What's
saying.
next?
Culture Healer says Kung Fu Panda took the top spot this week. What are the odds, or what odds would you give for Dune retaking the number 1 spot this coming weekend?
Almost 100% because
Its
on
drop-off
its
is
third
crazy.
weekend, it only finished $900,000 behind Kung Fu Panda 2.
Mm-hmm.
So,
What's coming this weekend? I mean,
Nothing yet.
well, not Godzilla X Kong.
Isn't Monkey?
Does Monkey Man open this week?
Hold on.
I thought that was coming
So
in
it's
April.
1st.
I'm gonna look on the calendar.
Yeah.
That's
Sorry.
April 1st?
I don't know.
Anyway,
Oh yeah, it's on April 5th.
okay, yeah. So I don't think anything's big. So
No, nothing really.
What about Ghostbusters? When is Ghostbusters?
Oh, that might be the one that's coming out. I'm pretty sure that's the one.
well, if none of you guys are going to do it, I will.
Frozen.
I'm looking
I'm
up.
looking at it. Frozen Empire's back is coming out.
That's this week.
Yeah.
Okay, so that will be the number 1 film at the box office this
March
weekend.
22nd. Yeah.
But it will overtake Kung Fu. I mean, Dune 2 will finish ahead of Kung Fu Panda 2 or Kung Fu Panda 4 at the box office. But Ghostbusters will be the number 1 box
Dude,
office.
it's gonna be the re-release of Rad.
the Rad re-release.
Wait, that's real. That's a
It's
real
coming-
thing.
No, it's
Yes,
coming
it
this
is.
weekend.
Yep.
Radder than before.
It's coming out this.
Have
weekend.
you seen the Dr. Manhattan meme that says he's sitting on Mars contemplating the world, and he goes, in 1984 I went and saw Ghostbusters and Dune, and in 2021 I went and saw Ghostbusters and Dune, and in 2024 I'm going to go see Ghostbusters and Dune. He's not
All right,
wrong.
one last question today. What's next?
Let's see. We got Hoser Maez who says Sony's reportedly pausing PSVR 2 production.
No idea what that is.
Yeah, to clear excess inventory. Sales-
PlayStation Virtual
Virtual
Reality 2.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
Sales of the $550 headset are reportedly slowing due to a lack of games, allowing inventory to pile up. And how is the Apple one doing?
Hopefully they'll clearance that, because I hear the PlayStation VR is crazy. Like it actually follows your eyes. Or whatever.
Nobody cares about any VR.
Oh boy.
VR is a totally stupid, useless gimmick.
No, but Batman Beyond is coming out in VR.
And it's going to be in VR.
Yeah, so that's
VR.
going to be the.
You know, one of my favorite tech YouTubers, Marquise Brownlee, also known as MKBHD, he summed up even the new
That's what his
Apple.
friends call him.
What is it called? The Apple Vision Pro?
Vision Pro.
Yeah.
Vision Pro? In his review, he summed it up perfectly. He said the Apple Vision Pro is absolutely the coolest gadget that absolutely nobody needs. He says it's the coolest gadget that nobody needs. I remember when we were still back at Movie Talk. One of the big wigs from Complex was very, very heavy into VR development. And like, this is it. Like in the next year or two, everything's going to be VR. That was 7 or 8 years ago. And, you know, I tried the Vision, what's it? The Quest? The
Vision
Oculus Quest?
I don't know.
I tried it. It's cool. It's cool. Then I stopped using it.
There's just not
It just-
enough.
Nobody
development.
cares about VR.
Every game is just a demo. There's no full games. There's no one giving their 100% into the tech. That's why.
Here's the thing. It's a lot like that thing from what's the with the plastics? They just did a remake of it. The girls are called the plastics in it.
Mean
Step-
Girls.
Mean Girls.
Oh, yeah.
Stop trying to make fetch a thing. It's not a thing. Stop trying to make it a thing.
Talk about that.
And that's VR headsets.
Well, the thing is, what people really want in VR is a holodeck.
yes,
And VR is not that.
No, it is not.
And until you can get VR holodecks, people don't care. Until it's a fully immersive environment that you can run around in.
All right.
I have no idea what's up.
And guys, pardon me, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here, making this little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in questions, our YouTube channel members, those of you who use Super Chat. Number one, because you gave us interesting things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. Don't forget to come on back and join us tomorrow for the next installment of the John Campea Show. In the meantime, I want to thank the people in the room with me, Ray Ora,
See you tomorrow.
Jonathan Boyko,
Later.
writer, director, producer, Robert Meyer Burnett. My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.